Hey everyone, you're here with Mark Batwell at perfectgardens.com. So today we got a great question from Mark Smith. Do you have any information or videos on hydroponic feeding, just like this soil one? I'm growing in 2 tents, 1 hydro tub, and an air pot. I am using tap water, need to pH test always.
Are you tired of getting crappy advice from your local hydroponic store? Or having to search all over forums to get advice that only takes you in different directions than solving your immediate problem? Well, join our membership for $50 a month. You get direct access to me. We'll connect on WhatsApp app. And just like this gentleman that started back in July with us, as problems arise, we are here for you.
Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk very generalized. I don't know what everyone has access to in this pandemic situation, so I don't want to create a video specifically about one thing and then you don't have access to that newsline and then you kind of come back at me and it was very helpful. So first off, biggest things to kind of understand is in the hydroponics versus soil. Well, in your soil, you have carbon. And with carbon, there is surface area that gives time for really, and this is the biggest thing to really comprehend, it gives time for your magnesium specifically to function properly so that it allows all the other coenzymes to be produced through microbiology if you're going that direction versus synthetic. So that those coenzymes, when they get absorbed into the plant through their hyphae by their fungi, or it's just because it's pH properly, it's water soluble, and it's being absorbed through the root systems. That carbon, though, when that magnesium sits in that carbon, is basically because that carbon has structure. And let me give you an example of what I mean by carbon. So as you can see right here, an electron microscope image of carbon nanotubes. So right here, I'm going to go back into it. Magnesium needs to be in the environment when there is the pH is adjusting up and down through the release of oxygen and CO2 through the root system. And when that magnesium is in the environment during these pH fluctuations, is helping to produce the coenzymes for all the other minerals in your growing environment so that when they get absorbed into the plant, they can properly do its function and the plant can reach its possible potential. This is really the biggest difference when you're using soil versus hydroponics. And I'm including cocoa in hydroponics. I'm including hydroton. I'm including rock wool. I'm including a bucket of water. I'm including perlite. I'm including vermiculite. I'm including peat moss. All these things don't have the organic carbon as in soil. Okay, so now I'm separating out the biggest difference. Why they produce CalMag, right? Why do they produce CalMag and make it a supplement for hydroponics? I know they do it for soil too, and plants get calcium deficiency issues in soil as well. But it's specifically identified in hydroponics because scientists have realized the importance of magnesium. So right here, when you get into asking me a question like, do you have a video for Fox Farm for hydro? The first thing I would say is I would never use Fox Farm for hydroponics. When you get into the other videos in the playlist, and I recommend just checking out the playlist right here, I talk a lot about how the nutrients in the back of this bottle, some of it is not water soluble. And so really, you want to think about this for a second. Because you're not going to have organic matter breaking down the salts, the fertilizer you put into your hydroponic system should be as water soluble as possible. You got to really think about that, right? If it's not even water soluble, if it can't even be absorbed in water, and they're going to tell you this when you look in the back of the books. I've already got into a lot of these videos taught you right here. Multiple videos have talked about it. So why even put a fertilizer in a hydroponic system where 20% of the fertilizer they're putting in there in those bottles isn't even water soluble? It's just going to fall out of solution immediately. And then when you have pH fluctuating pretty rapidly in your hydroponic system because you're adding synthetic fertilizers in there, and it's just going to happen. Maybe you're using rock wool, and rock wool has a higher pH normally, so you're constantly adjusting your pH. When you're having these fluctuations in your hydroponic system, more salts that accumulate in your hydroponic system will begin to combine and fall out of solution. And when the water begins to evaporate and also be taken up through the plants, you see it, right? You go put your hand on the side of your hydro system, and all that sludge, or you could feel it. It happens. That's why you're constantly cleaning your hydroponic system out. Or when the water is evaporating away, you see that calcium buildup. Those are the salts that are no longer water soluble, and they are combining into more salts and staying in your hydro system. That's one of the reasons why you always have to constantly keep cleaning out your hydroponic system. So what I would recommend, and I've been talking about this other nutrient line a little bit, I only have a few videos up, but I will be producing more. I would actually recommend the raw nutrient line. This nutrient line is designed for soil and water, obviously, hydroponics and soil. One thing I do like about this nutrient line is that the majority of the fertilizer they put in here is sulfated minerals versus just regular salt fertilizer. And I talk a lot about sulfated minerals as being the main minerals that the plants absorb and take up the most. I talked a lot about in another video about it being the right key for the doorknob. In another video, I talk about how it's not the primary bond, which what I mean is like potassium is the primary, but it's a secondary bond that makes the key actually turn properly. So you have the main key, but then the little teeth that allow, actually you fit into the key slot and turn, those little teeth is what allows the key to turn. This is just the leverage, right? So potassium's the leverage, but that secondary bond, which is, it could be a phosphorus or it could be a sulfuric, because those are the main acids used to create fertilizer. Those secondary bonds is what actually makes everything work properly. This nutrient line is much more water soluble. They control their nutrient line very well. Their parts per million don't go super high. I think the highest it goes when you're following the recommended feeding schedule is roughly between 900 and 1100 parts per million. So I would recommend checking out these videos right here, Mark, and just following their feed schedule. One product I would personally recommend, whichever way you go, whether you want to use your Fox Farm for hydro system, which again, another thing I forgot is Big Bloom does have organic matter. And when you put it into a hydro system, and if the water is not staying constantly flowing, that water can become stagnated, and the bacteria and other stuff that can get produced in your hydro system because of Big Bloom and that organic matter can potentially clog up your feeding system. Unless you're using an ebb and flow or something along those lines, but if you're using a dripper, Big Bloom is not recommended for hydro systems. So that's also another factor. The product I would recommend either way, whether you're using Fox Farm or you're using raw, is Drops of Balance. Drops of Balance is a ionic sulfated mineral product. I talk about this product all the time. It's used for drinking water, but at a smaller concentration. It's used for plants. For drinking water, it's 5 mL per gallon, but for plants, it's for 1 mL per gallon. So like this bottle right here is good for cleaning 250 gallons of water for drinking, but for plants, it's good for 1,000 gallons of water to treat your water. And so it reverts man-made chemicals back to sulfated minerals, and this product has 50 plus trace minerals. So I'm not going to get into this video too much, but I talk a lot about the law of minimum and the law of tolerance. And basically the key is first having clean water that isn't going to impede the chemistry in your water. That's the first thing. So treating your water or having clean water or RO water, so you can put everything you want in there. Either one of those things is going to be the first step. The second step is adding in your trace minerals first. And your trace minerals are going to be Drops Balance. That's what I love about this product. You clean your water and you add your trace minerals in first, then you add in the nutrient line. And by doing that, I promise you, you will have much less nutrient deficiencies and a higher return on your investment through less bug problems and more essential oils produced on the plant. One thing to throw out there, though, is if you are using Drops of Balance, I would recommend using less nutrients across the board. So I would at least cut down your nutrients by 30%, maybe a little bit more if you're using drops of balance, because drops of balance will make everything work much more efficient. Drops of balance, once again, is an ionic sulfated mineral product. Ionic, negative charge, is the most important thing to kind of comprehend at this moment right here. So when I'm playing this video, this was an experiment done with a live blood microscope. So yes, this experiment is with blood, but you have to also think about it. When you compare a animal cell and a plant cell, they are 99% exactly the same. So that means they're going to work 99% exactly the same as well. So this experiment is done with the live blood electron microscope. These two people are bodybuilders. Obviously, bodybuilders use a lot of supplements, and because they're using, once again, salt nutrients, it creates nutrient lockup in their blood. And so this is what you're seeing. You're seeing blood right here that is coagulating together like a magnet. Their charges are opposite of what they should be, and they're combining together, causing less oxygen transferring, toxins will build up, and before you know it, you begin to have acidic blood, which is not healthy for bodybuilders. So let's go ahead and play this video. They take their blood, put it underneath the live blood microscope, speed it up. You can see them moving right there. So this is a live blood microscope. They come over here, they're drinking the drops of balance. 15 minutes later, boom, right here. And so you got to think about this, right? Nutrient lockout, nutrient not locked out. And that's what you're seeing when everyone talks about it. When the nutrients are locked up, it's because salts are combining together because they're no longer water soluble, or they were never water soluble in the first place. At that point, they become charges, they become magnets for other salts to combine to them, which creates nutrient lockout. And then when you have the right pH, you have good clean water, you have trace minerals, you have an ionic negative charge, your nutrients are freed up and capable of having a higher surface area. And with a higher surface area, there's more oxygen carrying capability. And with oxygen, oxygen is an oxidizer. It's constantly breaking down. And so when it's breaking things down, it becomes more available to your plant. I hope this video was helpful. I'm always talking about the mindset versus the skill set, because if you have the right mindset, you'll be able to apply it to anything you're doing in life. And through repetition, you will find success. Thank you so much, and have a great grow, everyone.